I think I'm going to start today's show with AI Penguin Whoop in its jungle habitat. Well, a little piece of it.
Ground things pound their feet. Down there on the street, things without feet. Like me, and see me on what I see. Things that amaze me. It fills my dreams when I sleep. A penguin that can fly. A penguin that can fly. Scurry by, pounding their feet while I touch the sky, sliding, gliding, without a care. They'll never know the wonders up here in the sky. I'm a penguin flying high, living life with no questions why. I wonder how the ground things carry on, never experiencing the beauty I thought. Can fly.
They are out there sucking up life, devourers of souls, not mere myths, but a chilling truth to bear. Evil images from lore, revealing their ghastly roles. What are these beastly things of fright? Could be a friend or the stranger you met last night. Legends of tales, each one holds a grain of truth. Hidden beasts within us waiting to break loose. But listen closely, for this is not the beast I see. Not the primal instincts that dwell in the deep. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release. Twisted truths, bending laws, the flaws that cave. They find joy in chaos, delight in pain. Their hearts tainted, their minds unchained. They dance on the edge where shadows meet light. Their existence a paradox, both wrong and right. They wear masks of civility and harbor dark desires, feeding on discord, stoking the fires. Their laughter echoes in the corridors of power, a symphony of malevolence, growing louder by the hour. Listen closely, for this is not the beast I seek, not the primal instincts that dwell in the deep. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release, twisting truth, bending laws, the flaws they can. Masks of civility and harbor dark desires, feeding on discord, stoking the fires. The echoes in the corridors of power, a symphony of malevolence, growing louder by the hour. But listen closely, for this is not the beast I seek, not the primal instincts that dwell in the deep. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release, twisting truth, bending laws, the flaws they gave. The bustling streets where sirens wail and taxis race, a lost penguin roams its flippers out of place. Amongst skyscrapers and billboards, it seeks a hidden truth, for it knows the darkest spots within the office loop. What are these enigmatic souls of the night? Could be your barista, the artist by the street light. Urban legends whisper tales of their disguise, hidden villains among us, you can find them by their lies. Listen closely, for this is not the foe I seek, not the mundane wrongdoers who blend in so sleek. No, it's the ones who thrive on secrets and deceit, bending rules, distorting facts, their motives incomplete. The penguin feathers ruffled by nonsense, tracking footprints of malevolence beneath the city trees. It waddles past coffee shops where laptops come and brew, their existence a paradox, both lost and true. They say their every word is true, yet harbor hidden fires, a simple hate for you. Feeding on chaos, stoking ambition's desires, a symphony of malevolence masked by tailored truth. But listen closely, for this is not the foe I seek, not the ordinary schemers who play hide and seek. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release, twisting narratives, bending laws, the flaws they say. So last age, dwellers of the shadows embrace,
Penguin with his license hanging on his back.
their hunger insatiable, their motives unclear. In this concrete jungle, who will emerge is still there.
Hello, I'm Zerzu Zyquin, and welcome to my channel. How's everybody doing? So I plan to do some videos where I'm playing through like basically abandoned lots and stuff that have good cool trees and open spaces enough for the little drone to go through, which it doesn't need much space at all, as you notice. Man, I've been having so much fun with that drone. Are you talking about the echo chamber at Rick Tulich? You lost me after at. I have no clue what you're talking about, man. How are you doing anyway, Bandit? Good to see you here. Might have a show about Shiz in a few days. Not about her recent incident, just kind of a show showing where once I said that she wasn't able to stream if it wasn't for the people around her helping her, and she proved me right. Told me, that she wasn't capable of holding a show of her own. Anyway, so I was asked to watch this debate. Well, so what happened was, as I commented, I showed this in yesterday's video. I commented about how the debate didn't necessarily touch on the topic of, is it immoral to take land by force? And I don't really like the title to begin with, because immoral, to not be something, you have what something is. So for it to be immoral, we must know what moral is. That's a certainty. So the title really should be, is it moral to take land by force? But basically what I'm trying to point out here is how Andrew Wilson has very, very foul debating style. And one of my viewers the other day, when I showed this, was asking me about Andrew Wilson. I think it might have been KDD. I'm not sure exactly who asked the question, but I believe the question was something to do with I can't remember the question, but I remember one of my other viewers commenting that Andrew Wilson to them, I guess in a reply, that Andrew Wilson was a vile person and he brings up the most vile arguments possible. Might be fun to watch. And so one of the things he likes to hit on is this topic of SA, which that's aside from the debate. I'll pull that in later just for a little bit of comedy, but it shows an absolute disgusting side of Andrew Wilson. Basically, he argues that it's not always no. Oh, that's right. I'm starting here because the other day I kind of missed part of this question. He was asking about a person if you were stranded in the desert and you came across. See, I thought he said if you came upon a canteen, but he said if you come upon a dead guy with a canteen and you take the canteen, would it be stealing? And I didn't catch the little dead guy slip in there.
When you say land ownership is not universal, well, I agree. I agree that this is a social construction. So we have to start with what ownership actually is. I would make the claim that ownership is one, a declaration that a thing belongs to you, and then that would have to be backed by some kind of force for you to keep said thing. For instance, let's say for a second you were walking through a desert and you were thirsty, and you came across a dead body with a full canteen. If you took that canteen and drank from it, would you be stealing?
No, yesterday I answered that if nobody was around because I didn't hear the dead body part. I don't know why, but and my answer now that I understand the dead body part would have to be no, because to steal you would have to deprive or intentionally deprive somebody of their property. Unfortunately, you can't deprive a dead person of anything, really. So, because they're dead. So, taking the canteen would not be stealing.
Or would you have a deference of ownership where you would feel like this was a justified transfer of property because the person who was there no longer needed the canteen? And then if somebody tried to take the canteen from you, would you say, no, it's mine? I think you would.
Well, no. No, we won't say no, it's mine. Why? Because you just found out that the water in the canteen was what killed the guy. And now you're dead, so you can't argue. Somebody else will take your canteen.
Right? So I think just by the establishment of what we would consider ownership to be, I think you're going to end up having to concede to our position. When you say taking land by force is immoral, I really do want you to contend with the tax doctrine. I think that you're probably a pretty pro-taxes guy, if you're a Democrat anyway. And I would love to know how that's not theft by the same metric that you gave us for what theft is.
Why are
also,
you screaming?
You said orthodox war theory, aggressive war is condemned. No, it's not. No. We have saints who conducted an aggressive war like Saint Helga.
Saint Helga. Now, this is an interesting story to look up.
Who literally unleashed pigeons that were on fire to burn down an entire city and killed everybody inside it. She's a saint. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Dude, you have no idea what you're talking about, or you're intentionally slipping this into the debate as if it's a logical topic. The saint that you're talking about was a person who, I guess, supposedly burnt down cities using birds that flew in fire. Now, I do understand there are birds that have caused fires in places before, like barns and stuff like that. But what's in the story is that she weaponized these flaming pigeons to burn down villages, and that is all pretty much myth. You can also find almost the same story in at least 4 characters in history, told almost exactly the same way. Now, that's not to say that the cities were not burned during Helga's time. The cities did burn during Helga's time, but the story of the birds themselves might have been a what is the word I'm looking for? It could have been more of like a, I don't know why my brain won't find the word in my head. Anyway, so it might have been, you know, a over exaggeration or a metaphor. That's the word I was looking for. Jesus. Anyway, so it could have been a metaphor, easily been a metaphor, but most likely did not occur in the way that they said. Most likely was a metaphor of the paralysis, the strength of her strategy in combat.
Because Christianity and Christian ethics are
Hey,
pluralistic,
Cody, how are you doing?
right? You cannot make the universals. They're going to be case by case specific for a reason. You say,
So now let's, I think he is about to end this. And one thing I've noticed about Andrew Wilson, he spends an entire he spends most of the debate talking about descriptors and talking about he tries to force a definition of every single word and then descriptors for that. He never places a prescription, a way to fix it. What prescribed solve is there? It's never there. And this doesn't take very long before it slides right off the hoops into something that has nothing to do with land. I think it's Black Lives Matter, which has absolutely nothing to do with taking of land by force, immorality, or morality.
and I'll just end with this. When you're talking about Native American, I wouldn't want to say Indians and offend anybody's delicate
Oh yeah,
sensibilities.
by the way, everybody,
What
Tom
you're
said hi. He's
alluding
going
to
to
is
take
the
a
myth
nap.
of the noble savage. I'm going to tell you the truth about what was really going on with Native Americans. They were sacrificing
Forward a little
each
bit
other on
before
top
the
of
debate
temples.
begins.
Then we will move into closing statements. Then we will read and respond to your kind super chats. After that, of course, as
I got tired of hearing his voice. Now pay attention to as soon as she stops talking, he doesn't give anybody a chance, of course, to say anything. He immediately starts asking for definitions and clarifications on descriptors, and he spends the rest of the debate basically doing that nonsense.
always, our favorite part, we will move into open panel dumpster fire, where you're allowed to come on as the public and ask questions and prompt and all of those fun things.
Now, my view of open panel, I do understand it gets a little bit off topic, and it's fine for an open panel to the dumpster fire to become a dumpster fire. But at some point, let's say somebody comes in and they're a little late on the debate. I wasn't. I watched the entire debate. But let's say they're a little late on the debate and they then go back and watch the debate at high speed or something and come in an hour into the dumpster fire. And now they want to talk about the debate. Isn't it a little crazy that nobody is tracking what the debate was about? I mean, once it goes into open panel, at least there should be some discussion of the debate that you just had. Otherwise, wouldn't it make sense just to start another show?
Ladies and gentlemen, I leave the floor open to you.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'd like to begin.
See, I mean, he just went through his whole opener. I mean, any person who's running any person who's running a debate should be moderating, realizing that everybody got one chance to speak, with Andrew Wilson speaking last. It should go to one of the other side to at least answer some of the questions, many questions, that Andrew Wilson presented.
With just a query so we can get some semantics taken care of.
In fairness, you did query several things, and I think Charlie was
Well,
about to respond
I haven't
to
made a
one of
query
them.
yet. I made an
You
opening
made several
statement.
in your opening statement.
If I have a query, did you answer to any of them?
It was your opening statement. They couldn't answer to any of them. Now that your opening statement is finished, they're asking to answer the queries that you had in your opening statement. That's all they're asking for, is to answer the queries that you had in your opening statement. And what do you say? Did you answer the queries then? Well, no, because it was your opening statement. It would have been rude to interrupt you.
You didn't give it an opportunity to
That's
answer.
right. So
You
that's
wanna
what I'm doing right
re-ask the
now.
query?
I'm not even trying to engage in that. Right now, I just want to get some semantics done.
And that's all he does. That's all he ever does is semantics. He talks, he makes up scenarios that are extreme and only emotionally attached. He doesn't ever really debate the topic. And this guy writes a book on debating.
So the thing is I want to agree to some terms with you guys. So we're not talking past each other. Don't you agree that that's very important in a debate, that we get our semantics taken care of, so we're not talking past each other? We know exactly what the other side means by the words that they're saying.
No, sir, that is good to take care of before the debate. Any word descriptors, any definitions of word, all the semantics are supposed to be taken care of before the debate. Not played around with for 90% of the debate. Well, what do you mean by theft? What do you mean by land? It's almost exactly like a flat earth type argument.
Can we do that real quick?
Are you setting the standard?
Hey,
No,
Dr.
I'm
Ron, how
going
you
to
doing?
ask you for what your standard is, and you can definitely ask me for what mine is. I just want to make sure that our semantics are in order.
All right, let's go. I just want to make sure that
I did derail myself just a minute ago.
Charlie gets a chance to make the
Of
point.
course.
I'm
she can
okay
too.
with discussing semantics, but I don't want it to get too nitpicky, nitty gritty, because I'd rather actually discuss the conversation at hand rather than, like, freak ourselves out over definitions.
Okay, well, I'm not looking necessarily at just definitions. I just want to make sure that we understand what we mean. You agree with me that words can have different meanings for different
Isn't
people,
it?
right?
Sure.
Okay, so then I want to make sure that when I use the word theft or when I use the word conquest, we're talking about the same thing. Otherwise,
Well, everybody knows what theft is. Theft is depriving another, intentionally depriving another of their property. Everybody knows. I mean, even a kid knows what theft is. When he has a toy and the other kid takes a toy, he knows that he's been thieved from. We all know what theft is. It's ridiculous at this age for you to be starting a debate by trying to define what theft is.
we're going to be talking past each other in this debate. So, Chris, what is theft from your view?
The repossession of a piece of property in order to retain it unnecessarily, meaning that you could have obtained that piece of property a different
Sounds
way
like y'all are going to have some
in
great
those
fun.
cases, except you've decided that you're going to circumvent that, short circuit it, and take somebody else's property instead.
Repossession of a piece of property? When you
By-
could have gained it in...
When you could have gained.
That was a horrible way to define it. But, I mean, I would have went with depriving another of property without, or intentionally depriving another of property.
Gained it a different way.
When you could have gained it a different way. Okay. And then when we're discussing force doctrine, will you accept our definition of what force doctrine is, which is that it's a descriptor which explains that rights come from men? Do you agree that that's our view?
I agree that that is your view, yeah.
Okay. So
I like that. I agree that that is your view.
you agree that that's our view. So you're not going to later say that you guys are saying might makes right and things like this, because that's not what we're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we can clarify that further at some
Okay.
point.
Gotcha. Okay. So force doctrine, you agree with our view. And then the last thing that I want to ask you is conquest. What do you consider conquest to be?
I think that's going to vary depending on the period of history that you're looking at.
What do you consider it to be?
I would consider it to be an invasion of a sovereign space for the purpose of taking up ownership of that space.
Invasion of
actually
sovereign
good.
space to take up ownership. Okay. That's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure that we're not speaking past each other. If you guys want any of the semantics to be
Have you guys watched debates? This is like the weirdest beginning of a debate ever. This should have been done in the chat long before the debate started.
clarified by us, now's a great time to do that before we move into whatever your queries are.
So I'm sorry. Force doctrine is specifically laws are made by men.
No, that rights come from men.
Rights come from men.
Yeah.
The gender, not us as a species.
No, the sex, not the gender.
Okay.
I'm sorry, do you agree with me that gender and sex have two distinct meanings?
I think that is not relevant to the conversation at hand.
You asked it.
Not really. I mean, she asked man meaning mankind or man meaning the gender male, not gender female. I mean, you're the one that wants to turn it into this basically shit show is what you like to do of trying to explain what the difference between male gender and man is. But she was clearly talking about mankind when she said, do you mean man as in mankind or man as in the gender male?
So why did you bring it up
That's
if it's
fine.
not relevant?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Okay, so you would agree
Just
with
want to
me.
clarify that we were talking about
Yeah,
the
so
species.
when I say men, I'm talking about sex. I'm not talking about those who identify as men. I'm talking about the sex specific of men.
That wasn't the question.
Yes, it
I
was
was
the question.
asking if you were
said the
talking
gender.
about species, us as a species.
Are men and
think-
women a different species?
No, it's
I
like
think
I mean, that ridiculous laugh too. Why are you laughing like that? You're kind of like a kid that knows he's being a little putz for no reason whatsoever. You knew what she meant was the species mankind or the breed or the sex man. You're just, but I don't understand why you're spending so much time on this instead of the debate topic about morality and taking land. Even even your argument about whether force is by man and that man makes rights has nothing to do with the or immorality or the morality of taking land. You've already completely went off topic.
I think she just utilized the word gender, but in terms of your position, Andrew, I think she meant the same thing that you would say in terms of
The
sex.
reason I'm really
Many
clear,
archaic
I'm very
legal
clear about
documents
this
will
for a
use
reason.
will use men as a as a stand-in for our species, as the human species. They will say men. That's
Yeah,
all I was
that's true,
asking.
or mankind, or things like this.
Sure,
yeah, I agree.
that is what I was asking.
Yeah,
That is
sure.
all
I
that
mean,
I was asking.
I'm willing to grant on the era specific, what you're talking about, that could be the case when they're also referencing women when they say mankind. I can even agree to that. But the reason I'm not willing to grant something like gender, or you saying, do you mean the gender of men, is because that has a loaded meaning. So I'm going to semantically distinguish between the two and say my.
It only has a loaded meaning because it triggered you. You knew exactly what she meant, but you got triggered because the word gender was there. Do you mean man as in a whole, or do you mean man as in gender? Sex, male. I don't understand why we're still on this.
Meaning of man has nothing to do with gender, but it has to do with sex. That's all.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm ready for the queries. What do you guys got?
Yeah, go ahead. Sean.
Well, first, I would like to say that I was not invoking the myth of the noble savage. I am quite aware that some indigenous tribes of the Americas were, in fact, quite brutal. And this, in fact, kind of ties into the point that I made that when you employ the force doctrine, you will always be subject to it yourself at some point.
Which is a very good point. He likes to talk about this force doctrine and how man gives women their rights and women have no rights, basically, which is another thing he tries to basically suggest when he's talking about SA. But I'll be bringing that up in a little bit. But this whole force doctrine thing, does he realize that you're also subject to that yourself? And what that means is, let's say we just eliminated it. All women have, we just go ahead right now and throw it out there on the table. Women have no rights. Man tells them everything they need to say. But unfortunately, now in this man only world that we've created, you, sir, are not going to be one of the top class. And that's easily explained by the fact that, one, you can't open an olive jar.
For
Hey, the guy
$1,000.
sent $1,000.
Yeah, but it seems slightly immature.
It's all fucking
It's just
slick now.
It's a little.
See, it
little fun.
is.
I got to grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
Well, so your hand greased the whole top of it.
My hand are fine. Here, high five.
It
My
literally-
shoes are fine.
It's
And in this same conversation, we found out that you couldn't even spend 1 year in the military. I mean, I didn't go to the military because I didn't feel like it was for me. But you couldn't even survive 1 year in the military without getting kicked out. And you had no explanation when her boyfriend, who obviously was a much stronger man than you, by the way, had asked you about your military service. You tried your hardest to change from that conversation as quick as you could. And not only that, in that same show, another man with much bigger arms than you came over and just opened that jar as easy as possible. Or as easy as
For
Hey,
possible.
the guy
$1,000.
sent $1,000.
Yeah, but it seems slightly immature.
it's all fucking
It's just
slick
for,
now.
It's a little.
See, it
little fun.
is.
I got to grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
Well, so your hand greased the whole top of it.
My hand are fine. Here, high five.
It
My shoes
literally-
are fine.
It's look, feel it. Isn't that greasy?
It was like that already. Oh my god.
No,
you're
it
ridiculous.
wasn't. You greased the top.
Use
Oh
your
my
shirt.
Jesus,
Use your
Andrew.
shirt,
If you can't open the olive jar, you cannot
Here,
blame my
while we're doing
hand.
olive jar.
If you're so strong, you should open it.
Yeah, I got to be able to grip it.
Okay, we'll grip it. Let's
It's
go.
literally slippery. Nah, you fucker. That was bullshit.
All right.
for you.
I just want to say for record.
We got a little olive juice. Let's get off the table.
So does
That's how your force doctrine works, sir. That's how your force doctrine works. When Soy Boy, what's he, like 20 years old? When Soy Boy held his beefy arms up and he told you that he was a bigger man than you, that if you were in the woods, he'd own you. That's what we're talking about. Your stuff would be gone. Your force doctrine, you would want to get rid of that real quick. Trust me. So let's take a break and let's listen to some of Andrew Wilson's most disgusting debate styles. I'm not even sure. This was just, I guess, supposed to be a discussion. But the topic came up, this disgusting topic came up. And let's see how Andrew Wilson plays this debate out. And then we'll come back to the other debate.
To realize, wait a second, this is not as cut and dry as we thought it was. This 90, you really think that 90% of sexual assaults are done by men? Like, you honestly believe that? Even intuitively, you believe that?
I think those numbers are really exaggerated, and I think she said yes, Nakoti, and I think she said 54%, but he threw in 90%, which was not her numbers, and he's going to in a moment share with her a TikTok source or no, a Twitter source, and this goes way off the hooks.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
But that's based on my experiences again, growing up as a woman.
Here, Sarah, I DM'd this to you, this link.
I think it was pretty bad for her to answer yes, because she earlier said 54%, but I don't think she was really doing that great to begin with.
If you
Not
can post
against
it in the
somebody
college-
filthy like
or,
this.
I'm sorry, in the private chat. These would be multiple publications and multiple sources which give the demonstration, and I mean many, but I can back them up more with even more if you'd like. Because one thing that's interesting about this,
Because I think this is going to be hard for you because essentially all evidence
no,
disagrees with you when you look
no, it
up
doesn't.
all perpetrators of violence,
Exactly.
sexual or not.
It
So this is a
doesn't.
Twitter link.
Exactly. Most
that
of the
we have
pages
here.
he sent,
Which
I'm going to be
links-
pointing that
which
out.
links all of those publications you just asked for. Look at
Okay.
It's a Twitter link. It's a Twitter link that links a bunch of information. Now let's listen to some of the numbers that go on. Yes, I would agree.
Okay.
Oh, I see. The postings. 51% of college men report being essayed or AR'd since the age of 16, 95% by women.
Uh-huh. Over and over and over again, we can see.
I mean, yes, that makes sense that college men are, being sexually assaulted by women more likely, heterosexual college men.
Wow, that's really strange. I thought men were these violent perpetrators.
So 51% of college men claim that they have had this happen. Oh yeah, I didn't look up that number because it came back with a weird result. The other ones I did. I was wondering why I didn't look that up. It came back with
And yet,
it was I couldn't really find any solid information on it.
suddenly, what is the conditional change? They're in college men are much stronger than college women. Therefore, college women would be in the position of vulnerability, and yet men still aren't assaulting them. That's really weird.
I mean, I think it's most likely by.
Now he's saying men aren't assaulting women at all. Men aren't assaulting them.
By drugging and non-consensual groping.
So men aren't drugging women? Got it.
No, they are.
No, but the women are drugging them more.
43% of college men and high school youth report being sexually assaulted or raped. What would the statistics be for women comparatively?
And it was good she asked that because I decided to look up that the 43% of men claim. That's not accurate. So if you look up 43% of men claim sexually assault in college, you get a whole bunch of other stuff that says around. Now you get I guess one says 43% of total non-campus crimes in the United States resulting in approximately 8 forcible sex. I had other information. It looks like you also get information on a number of 31%. And then when we break those numbers down, it comes down to about 6%. Where did I get that? Sorry, 6%, 6.8% of undergraduate men and 2.5% of graduate men and 9% of graduate women and 26.4% of undergraduate women. And that makes actually a quite higher percentage of women than men. Now he is right on the fact that the RAIN information, RAINN, it seems to be overinflated. It has like 54% are women, and 90 some percent of overall are women. But most of his stuff, if you listen to what he's saying and look it up, it's easily proven wrong. Now, a good place to look up would be the Association of American Universities, AUU. That's actually an interesting question. He's not looking into that factor either. Oops. You pointed out right there that he is actually not looking into all of it. He's making a preassumed conclusion that it's female that are doing the act only. Very good.
Inside of that study.
Okay, well, let me go look at these.
And then the second you begin to take them all into account, you
And that's one thing you'll notice all throughout these arguments. It's so many fallacies.
realize.
Good job calling that one out.
This is not even me trying to assault you. I just want you or insult you. I
No,
just want
it's
you
fine.
to understand something that's very important here, right?
I just, but
Almost
just by
everything that you believe from RAIN
Uh-huh.
and these various groups is
Uh-huh.
complete 100% semantic propaganda, which is perpetuated by a feminist worldview of classification. They use classification as a weapon. It's really easy. If I only describe rape as being something a man can do to a woman, then 100% of rape is done by men, isn't it?
Nobody describes it as something only a man can do to a woman. Nobody has ever described that way.
Do you think
That's the
that
problem with classifications like
that
this.
feminists created those definitions, or do you think that was
100%
largely a,
feminists in academia created it. Remember, who is in charge of the social sciences? Women. Who has all the degrees in social sciences? Women. Who comes up with the categorizations?
That's a legal definition.
Who comes up with the categorizations which inform the legal status of things? It's those people in academia.
Because women go into academia and teaching that somehow they're at fault for people being able to say that they want to say no, or they want to be able to consent. That's what it sounds like to me.
When you're talking about trans advocacy, they start, when they move into law, by sourcing psychologists, sociologists, and things like this in order to make the matter a matter of law. It's the same exact thing with rape. It's the same exact thing.
Well, they do that with a lot of different laws. It's not, that's, what are you arguing here? That because there may be some women involved in the process, that it's women that have created all these laws?
With all social phenomenons, female academics come up with the categorizations, and we're supposed to
it's women's fault.
Well, okay then.
Everybody, it's women's fault.
Don't you think that that's really bias and like fucking horrible to do to men?
It's my understanding that historically, largely, the legal definition of rape came from a time before feminist movements, typically, because it would indicate that the property of a man, either his daughter or his wife, has been.
Nope.
When do you think the feminist movement started? Because as far as I find that the legal, when I look up information on it, so 1936, the prosecution of colonial Massachusetts, John Billington Jr. is sometime mentioned in connection with early colonial crimes. John Billington Jr. was accused of, a young girl, and was subsequently executed for the crime. Now, that case, I really can't. When I looked deeper into it, I found that the only thing I could find about John Billings Jr. was that he was involved in crimes, but there's nothing about, His father, however, was put to death for murder of a fellow colonist. So that story probably isn't exact, but I did find a case which is well documented through papers, and at the time the paper was very on it, like almost like CNN today, but it was a paper, of course. And it was a trial of Henry Bedloe in 1793. And that's really where, so I think that was a bit before any of this feminist movement, sir. I'm sorry, but I think she was right that it did seem to come from before the feminist movement. Oh yeah, he definitely has the male version of victim mentality. Why did these women do all this bad thing to me?
That's historically inept. If this was the case that it didn't come from feminists, then let me just ask you a simple question. If a man wakes his wife up with his penis, okay, and she's dead asleep, is he raping her?
Wow, I mean, so I guess if she doesn't say no, then no, it's I don't know, but if she says stop, then that's yes, that's very, very wrong. Now, should you be doing that? I guess not without first like discussing it, or maybe, like, I don't know, man. That one's kind of really weird. But yeah, if she says no, then you stop.
I mean, I think that if they had not had a discussion,
No, they didn't have a discussion. It's their wedding night. It's their wedding night.
She's dead asleep, and he
wakes her up with that penis. He wakes her up with that penis. That's what he does.
I mean, yeah, I would consider that sexual assault, and same with.
And do you understand that that is a categorization and classification for rape that's brand new? Do you understand that?
Yes, marital rape is new.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me answer that question. If you did this act that you're talking about, and you wound up in court having to argue whether it's SA or not, yes, it absolutely is, because somehow you wound up in court arguing over it. Means that was not a wanted thing.
The way.
Hello, I hope she isn't listening to this. Ooh, jeez.
The way that you categorize. But do you now understand how important it is for these categories to be there? Like, I don't consider that rape. That's insane. If my wife wakes me up with a blowjob, I don't fuck. It's not a fucking rape. Come on, how's that rape? Oh my God! No, stop.
But that's okay.
I don't think we've ever had that discussion. Why would we ever need to have that discussion? She's my property.
And he does believe that. He's trying to say it as a joke, but he absolutely believes that she's his property, as will be shown in a minute.
If there's
she is owned by me.
Blanket consent there, I think that's fine.
How do you know it's blanket consent if we've never had the discussion?
Can I ask, if presuming the wake up scenario, right? If you wake your wife up with full on ready to go, and you just start sticking it in and going for it, and then if she says no, right? Like, then obviously, right, the consent is immediately removed.
No, not
No, you don't have a right to say no, ma'am, according to this nitwit here, Dr. Andrew, who's prescribing you to just shut up and take it.
Always.
And yes, that pause was intentional. Think about it. Think about what he just said. She wakes up and she says no. Is she removing consent? And he answers quickly, No.
Like here, I'll give you an example. It's the Bill Burr example, right? Oh, stop it. You're so bad. Knock it off. Oh, God.
One.
Stop.
Two.
When they don't really mean stop. And see,
I think he said 3 there, but we know at least 2. I mean, so in your scenario, you're downplaying what Sarah had presented. And it doesn't make sense just to downplay it without actually addressing what she said. In reality, she didn't say that somebody was saying, stop it. No, she simply said, if she says no or stop, is it removing consent? And the answer is legally yes.
do you see how she has this look on her face like I'm speaking in a foreign fucking language as though she doesn't actually understand what I'm saying? When she does, she totally understands what I'm saying. And so does everybody else who's listening to me. Sex is a little bit mischievous, and sex is a little bit dynamic, and sex isn't always so cut and dry as like, you see this piece of paper right here under line 3? This means you can give me a blowjob between the hours of 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and that's it. And if you don't sign right here, my consent will be revoked. That is not how interpersonal sexual dynamics work. And what always happens, hang on, let me finish, lady, let me finish. What always happens with these people is they give you the big eyes like they're stunned. You just said something stunning, Andrew. How could you say that when they totally fucking agree with you? Totally agree. Like she knows sex is not so cut and dry as just no, because that can mean all kinds of shit. Depends on inflection. It depends on the intersexual dynamics. And you know what that is? That big look? That's called cope. It's the cope of the eyes, right? It's cope, pure cope.
You know, I guess you can make that same argument about the person who taking you to court because you decided to start messing with them while they were sleeping, married to them or not. And, you know, while you were doing that, they had a big look of shock, but they liked it. But that big look of shock was just cope. I could hear you making that same freaking disgusting argument because that's the type of disgusting person you are.
Just saying.
No means no. Amen, Nicody.
What marital rape
doesn't mean yes, maybe. It means no.
Laws are about. I don't think it's a playful blowjob from your wife. I think it's like the brutal rape of someone.
Oh, I think it's not. If we look at your categorizations, not only is it not that, but here's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is you can say in a court transcript, I said no. And the guy says, yeah, she did say no, but that's not what she meant. And we have no context for that because sex is a little bit mischievous and a little bit dynamics and what that means. Like, for instance.
Hey, do you think the jury will buy what he's talking about here? If she's taking you to court for it, she freaking meant no. That's 100% guaranteed.
Sometimes I like to go by my wife and give her a big, hard, open palm slap on the rear. And she's like, don't do that. She obviously wants me to not do it. I'm definitely going to do it again. And it's her distress that makes it so much fun to do, right? That's part of the, mischievous nature of the thing.
Now, as far as this goes, that can be accepted. It can be accepted. She can give consent to that. But if you just walked over and gave your wife a good slap on the rump and she told you better never frickin' do that again, and then you walked over, we wouldn't even have to do it again if she wanted to just press charges. But if you walked over again and gave her another slap on the rump and she called the police for assault, did you slap her? Question, Andrew. Somebody who's probably familiar with this type of domestic violence thing. Did you slap her? Yes. The answer is yes, you did assault her. If she was to take it to court, if she was to get the cops involved, it is absolutely an assault.
Right? Is that consent? Is she retracting consent? Well, I guess she is. But does that really matter ultimately? Is that really what's going on there? It's not so cut and dry as you feminists make it out to be. And we all know that that's the case. And so what's so bothersome about it is like, you go, no, I think that marital rape is like the brutal penetration of your wife while she's screaming and
It doesn't have to be brutal, and it doesn't require any of that screaming and agony. It just requires the forceful act while she's telling you no, or she's trying to stop you, or you telling her that you're the man with force doctrine and you have that power.
agony. It's like, that's not what they report, though. What they report is like, one time I said no, and he went ahead and did it anyway, and we have no context for the interpersonal dynamic, and that's why categorization matters.
That is if you say no when someone keeps going, that is kind of that would be considered rape. I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's happened to me
different
multiple
from-
times then with my own wife, where
Okay,
she's like,
but are you
she's a
guys
little
being-
randy at night, and I'm like, no, I don't really want to. No, honey, no, I don't really want to. Nah. Oh, okay. Well, actually, okay, that feels pretty good. Okay, we're gonna do this then.
So
I mean,
think
so
that
you see what I'm
know
saying?
What I mean
Yeah.
when I'm talking
No,
about
I
the
don't know what
buy
you
it.
mean.
I think Rachel
implicit
wears the
consent
pants.
and
Yeah, I don't know what you
playfulness
mean
because
versus,
it's
not
like,
that cut and
actual
dry.
Real life, like
Is that playfulness? I meant it. Like I meant it. I really didn't want to right then. And then
Wait a minute. Aren't you relatively newlywed?
well, she talked me into it, okay?
Oh, so you consented.
Through touching that at that right at that
Now listen. Listen to what he's explaining, and imagine this being described in a court case from somebody who's actually brought a defendant to the courts.
exact moment I did not want, but after the touching occurred, I realized actually I do want this, and this is great.
hey man, I'm not gonna lie.
That sounds like he's going to jail. Listen to that defense. Oh, the touching after it occurred, she liked it, and it felt great.
I don't know if I'm super into the idea of helping you determine whether you or your wife are raping each other or not.
That's not the point. The point isn't
I'm
whether
I'm not like super into hearing about
do you
your guys' sex
understand?
life
Do you
and if you're,
understand
like,
the point of
diddling each other. Like,
categorization?
this is, like,
It's
kind
just
of
an
like a lot,
obfuscation.
man.
You're just obfuscating. You're just obfuscating, man. Like my point is to show you that just based on normal human sexual dynamics, women like you will categorize things as rape that aren't. That's my point. Not whether or not Chuck over here thinks I'm raping my wife or she's raping me. It's to give you an easy contrast of normal human interactions and sexual dynamics that you can easily construe as being rape that aren't.
Assumptions. You are making some assumptions about me right now that, you know,
just said it.
If someone tickles me and I go, hee, stop, do I think I am being... If a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whoever tickles me and I go, hee, stop, and they don't, do I think I am being assaulted or raped?
Tickling, that's really non-analogous, but we'll just go ahead and we'll stay with this analogy. I mean, tickling, you're equating tickling somebody to SA.
Maybe
No,
not.
obviously,
But how does
I
that
do
read out on a
understand
court transcript?
Consent.
How does that read out on a court transcript? Well, let's see. If you go over and you tickle somebody and they say no, stop, and you tickle them again and they say stop, and they pick up the phone and call the police and report you for assault because you assaulted them, the police most certainly are going to charge you with assault. Don't think so? Just start running around public and just tickle people and see how funny. It's a big joke. I mean, yeah, of course your friend doesn't press charges on you because they're your friend. But I'm sure at the moment that you're tickling them, they really want you to stop. They really do. But like you said, tickling, it's no biggie. No biggie at all. It's just to have something funny to do. How about you run around your town and just do it on YouTube? You've got a YouTube channel. Oh, I'm not doing it because I'm not stupid. Run around your town tickling people and see if you don't get the cops called on you. So I'm about an hour in. I didn't even get any of that other debate going. Yeah, we'll probably end up just ditching that other debate entirely because this is about as much nonsense as I can handle of this. I just really wanted to show how disgusting he is. He brings these things up into all these different types of debates. Every one of his debates, he doesn't address the topic. He goes into analogies or either disanalogous or extreme exaggerations of the simplest things. But yes, Andrew, to answer your question, if you tickle somebody and they don't want you to tickle them and you continue to tickle them, especially like let's say you tickle them and make them pee themselves. Yeah, it's assault. I'm sorry. As always, you guys are awesome. Remember, you don't have to be wise. Just don't submit to stupid. Thank you very much. And I forgot to have my music up. We'll do the whoop again.
Yep. Sky, there's a penguin flying high. Always loving life, wondering how the ground things have survived. Never see it live. A penguin that can fly. That's where you will find me up there with the birds that have wings up there. I can see things not seen by ground things up there in the sky. Ground things pound their feet. Down there on the street, things without feet. Like me, they never see me or what I see. Things that amaze me. It fills my dreams when I sleep. A penguin that can fly. A penguin that can fly.
Amen. He is most certainly a walking turd.
Can fly.
life, devourers of souls. Not mere myths, but a chilling truth to bear. Evil images from lore, revealing their ghastly roles. What are these beastly things of fright? Could be a friend or the stranger you met last night. Legends of tales, each one holds a grain of truth. Hidden beasts within us waiting to break loose. But listen closely, for this is not the beast I see. Not the primal instincts that dwell in the deep. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release. Twisting truths, bending laws, the flaws that cave. They find joy in chaos, delight in pain. Their hearts tainted, their minds unchained. They dance on the edge where shadows meet light. Their existence a paradox, both wrong and right. They wear masks of civility and harbor dark desires, feeding on discord, stoking the fires. Their laughter echoes in the corridors of power, a symphony of malevolence, growing louder by the hour. Listen closely, for this is not the beast I seek. Not the primal instincts that dwell in the deep. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release. Twisting truth, bending laws, the flaws they came. Masks of civility and harbor dark desires, feeding on discord, stoking the fires. The echoes in the corridors of power, a symphony of malevolence, growing louder by the hour. But listen closely, for this is not the beast I seek. Not the primal instincts that dwell in the deep. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release. Twisting truth, bending laws, the flaws they came. The bustling streets where sirens wail and taxis race. A lost penguin. Sit down and don't talk. Boards, it seeks the hidden truth, for it knows the darkness lies within the office loop. What are these enigmatic souls of the night? Could be your barista, the artist by the street light.
He's a turd. Did you say he was a turd? Does that make him a super shot?
Not the Monday wrongdoers who blend in so sleek. No, it's the ones who thrive on secrets and deceit. Bending rules, distorting facts, their motives incomplete. The penguin feathers ruffled by nonsense, tracking footprints of malevolence beneath the city trees. It waddles past coffee shops where laptops come and brew. Their existence a paradox, both lost and true. They say their every word is true, yet harbor hidden fires, a simple hate for you. Feeding on chaos, stoking ambition's desires, a symphony of malevolence masked by tailored truth. But listen closely, for this is not the foe I seek. Not the ordinary schemers who play hide and seek. No, it's the ones who revel in the dark release. Twisting narratives, bending laws that flaws their saints. Stormlands hate, dwellers of the shadows embrace. For they walk among us, leaving traces of disgrace. Their hunger insatiable, their motives unclear. In this concrete jungle, who will emerge is still clear.
Penguins.